Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast, episode 48. On today's podcast, Jenn talks about Neuro-Linguistic Programming and coaching. I have no idea what to say about this subject that might be heard to be even remotely entertaining. I even went so far as to Google NLP jokes. Apparently you have to know a lot more than I do about NLP to find those things funny. Perhaps I would benefit from some coaching in a way that would help me to think about and reframe my thinking process toward greater creativity. Oh, now I see how this works. Well played, Diva. Well played.
Welcome to the Communication Diva Podcast. I'm your host, Jenn Swanson, and I'm here to talk to you about the art of communication simplified. You know, the root of most conflict is communication breakdown, and this podcast aims to help you improve your communication skills so that you can take your business and or your personal relationships to the next level. So here we are, and we're a little bit late in putting out this podcast this week, and part of that is due to the fact that our oldest, who is 21, has been diagnosed with mononucleosis, and she is quite sick with it. So I've been running around with her to different appointments and ultrasounds of her neck, and she's got liver and spleen involvement, and she was feeling rather miserable. And because she lives out on her own, about an hour from us in the city, I've been driving back and forth and picking her up and taking her places, and finally we've got her back home here so that she can have some TLC and a little looking after. So as a result of all of that unexpected busyness, I'm putting out the podcast a little bit late. You know, sometimes when life gets to you and stress and your immune system is down and your body just finally says, you know what, that's it, that's enough. I'm going to stop you right in your tracks. And I think that's kind of what happened. And I have had that experience too. I know when I'm working like crazy and a little too busy and, get sick, there have been times when the body has said, okay, it's enough, time to rest. So that's one of them. A couple of things I wanted to mention about Communication Diva and about what's going on for me also is that my book, How to Be Professional in the Workplace, is featured as the book of the week on a website called communicationweekly.com. And that's a very interesting website. I've been invited to be a contributor over there. And if you have time to check it out, I suggest that it's a good place to get communication information. There are a lot of different contributors who come from many walks of life. And there's a lot of good communication information there as well. It's a blog. And it is communicationweekly.com, and I'll put that information on my show notes at www.communicationdiva.com. Another exciting thing for me was that I was interviewed by Jessie Leahy recently, who does the Engaging Leader podcast, and you can find Jessie's podcast at engagingleader.com. And I was pleased to be interviewed by him a little while ago, and I think it was published just last week, so that's been lots of fun. Also, I will be one of the guest speakers at the New Media Expo in January in Las Vegas. It is January 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and I will be on a panel with 3 other wonderful podcasting people that are part of the mastermind group that I'm with. That is Peter Adal, PJ Jonas, and Dustin Hartzler. And all of these people and I will be talking about why every blogger should start a podcast. So if you are coming to New Media Expo, if you are in the Vegas area and you're interested in this presentation, I hope that you come by, and I hope that you will come and say hello. We'll all be there, and we'll have signs on that say who we are, and it's a fantastic conference, and I'm really looking forward to that. So that's a little bit more about what's going on. Now, today I wanted to talk about, whoops, I'm making noise here. I wanted to talk about neuro-linguistic programming and also about coaching. And I know I've spoken and interviewed a few people now. I think I've interviewed 4 coaches about what kind of coaching they do. I interviewed Stephen Gann in episode 32, and Stephen is a coach who works with all sorts of people going through transition, but his passion is baseball, and he loves to work with amateur athletes who would like to move their athletic careers in bigger directions, and he's quite passionate about it. And so he's episode 32 if you're interested in going back to listen to that if you haven't already. And again, he also does other types of coaching with people in their careers as well. I've interviewed Susan Hogarth, and that was episode 33. And Susan is a coach who works with children and youth who are either at risk, children who don't fit into the typical school system, etc., and children who are gifted. She has one of each in her own family and became interested in that. And she is a trained coach and also has taken the NLP course. And she is working a lot in some fascinating areas. So she was episode 33. I then interviewed Valerie Legge, who is a life coach and small business owner and lives in Montreal, Quebec, in Eastern Canada. She was episode 34, and she is just an absolutely lovely person, and you might enjoy that interview. She's also a musician and very interested in people in general. So Valerie was episode 34. And the most recent coach that I interviewed was David Frank Gomes, episode number 40. And David had a really wonderful way of explaining the whole art of coaching. And many people have listened to that episode, and I hope that if you have not had a chance to listen to episode 40, that you go back and do so. You can get to any of these episodes through the show notes for this episode, through the website under podcast episodes, or you can simply put in www.communicationdiva.com/ and the number of the episode. So that would be /40 if you were going to listen to David Frank Gomes' episode. And all of these people are working coaches and have different areas that they work in as a coach. And so there is a lot of different kinds of coaching out there. And so I have also just launched my coaching practice and have had some interest in what it is that I'm doing. And I thought I would just highlight a little bit of that. I have a few spaces open, but with all of the things that I'm doing, a couple of jobs and children and family and studies at university still that I'm taking, I don't have very many client spaces at this time. But to begin with, I've got a few, and I am open to people contacting me and having a conversation to see whether or not we would be a good fit and work together. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about life coaching and how I see it, and then tell you a little bit more about the NLP part, the Neuro-Linguistic Programming, which is also something I'm quite interested in, and I have practitioner training to do, and I plan to take the master practitioner level training this summer of 2013. So life coaching to me is about a relationship, and it's a different kind of a relationship than any other person that you might have in your life. Coaching is confidential, it is intentional, it is a time that is all about you, the client. And the way I work is client-driven. There is no agenda on my part when we come together to have a session. And what it is figuring out where you're at now and where you'd like to be, and then how you can go about getting to where you would like to be. So it is not therapy. It is not going back and looking at all the traumatic and horrible things or difficult things that happened in your life. That would be therapy, and that there are therapists who are trained to do that. That is not what I do. What I do is find out a little bit about where you are now, and this could be in your work life. This could be in a relationship situation. This could be in your career, and find out what your dream is, what your hope is, where you would like to be, and then help you to map out a way to get there step by step, and to champion you and cheer you on as you have successes, and to be there if things don't go the way you hoped they would go. So it's someone to have that confidential conversation with, who can objectively look at what it is you're doing and help you to sort out for yourself how you would like to proceed and reach your dreams. So a coach will listen without judgment, and a coach will keep everything confidential, and a coach will help you to figure out what it is that you want to do. And so that's what I would like to help you with. I am a certified conflict coach, and conflict coaching is a fairly new area. It's still basic coaching practice, basic coaching training, but it has a focus on resolving conflict. And this can be conflict internally for a person. So if you are arguing with yourself over what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what you think you want to do next, that is seen as conflict if you are conflicted. Or it can be conflict with other people, and how you can, with very good communication skills on your part, navigate through sometimes very difficult situations. So those are some of the things that I can do. Again, I spoke about career coaching, and transformational issues, and also spiritual coaching. If you're trying to figure out where you are in that realm, I am happy to help with that as well. So lots of different ways, and coaching can do whatever you want it to do for you. So you determine the goals, you determine the outcomes, and I help you to get there. And we walk together on this. So this is what I plan to do, and hope that if you are interested, or somebody you know is interested, that you would reach out through my email at jenn@communicationdiva.com, all one word, and then just drop me a line, and we can set up a time to have a conversation to see if we would be a good fit, and if we could work together, and if that sounds like it would go ahead, then we would move forward with that. So there you go. And I've been seeing a coach. She's got a more spiritual focus. And I've been seeing her for a couple of years now, and I see her once a month, and it really is helpful to refocus and to, sort out with somebody else what my thoughts and decisions are, and how I am moving forward in career and life and all sorts of other things. So, years ago, we used to hang an arm over the fence and talk to the neighbor and tell all our troubles to the neighbor and have somebody sympathetic. And in today's world, very few of us know our neighbors that well. And sometimes we do, but there's always the risk in news spreading, and in people being not objective, and in being judged. So this is a very different kind of relationship. And if you haven't experienced coaching, I definitely encourage you to try it. There are so many coaches out there who are very talented and willing to help you help yourself. So I think it's brilliant. but then again, that's why I got into it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And this has been around since probably the 60s. It had some popularity, it had some notoriety, it sort of died off for a while, and it seems to be resurging. And people are finding it and discovering it again. And I discovered it a while back. I can't remember exactly how, but I remember partaking in a free online seminar where people from around the world were giving free sessions. And I was listening to them over the course of a week, I think it was, and being just utterly fascinated with the concept and the ideas that these people were sharing. And then I researched and found a program and took a summer intensive training this past summer from a college locally called Erickson College. And they have been teaching this program for a number of years. And the instructors were fabulous, and the participants were amazing. They were global from all over the place, all around the world, and we formed a really interesting group and learned so much from one another in this very intense time. I think it was 12 or 14 days, about 8 hours a day. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was fantastic. So what is NLP? NLP is there's a lot to it, and I'm probably not the best person to explain it in great detail, but my understanding of it is that the words that we use affect our neurology, and that can be in the form of habits, that can be in the form of thought patterns, that can be in the form of how we participate in our self-talk, how you talk to yourself, the things that you say to yourself that you then believe, and that you can actually change your neurology through this. So you know the old statement, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Totally and utterly wrong. And I think I've said that before in another podcast. Words are very, very important. And I think they make a huge difference. You know, if you tell a child that she's a bad girl, you're doing damage there, because you may be upset with the child's behavior and whatever actions they're taking, but the child herself is not bad. But if a child hears you're a bad girl over and over and over again, well, they're going to begin to live that out. And so I really think that we can damage each other with words in great, huge ways. That's what bullying is, right? And negative self-talk and low self-esteem. And so sometimes just breaking those cycles and breaking those patterns can change how a person feels about themselves and how a person relates to others. And so neuro-linguistic programming is a series of techniques and tools and ways of helping people to change thought processes and to change patterning. So an example of patterning might be the first time you learned how to drive a car, or the first time you learned to play a song on the piano, you had to think about everything. If you were learning to drive a car, you had to remember to put the car in the right gear. You had to remember to, how to hold the wheel. You had to remember where the turn signal was. You had to remember to shoulder check and do all of those things. And if you've been driving for any length of time, now all of that just happens automatically. And the reason it happens automatically is because you have solidified your neurology, and your body knows what to do. Your body remembers how to do all of the things that put together end up being driving. Same with playing the piano. If you've memorized a song in the piano or any instrument, you have created patterns in your neurology so that your body doesn't have to think as hard anymore. It can just do what it is you've practiced doing. And we do the same thing with how we talk to ourselves. If we tell ourselves that, we're overweight, or that we're not nice to look at, or that we can't do something, then that creates a pattern. And sometimes all it takes is being aware of that pattern and being able to break the patterns. And NLP has ways to do that, has techniques to help people who are traumatized overcome trauma, people who are phobias, have big phobias of things, terrible fears of things, to overcome those fears. And it's fascinating stuff. And I'm sure you could find a whole bunch more about it and online. And I am hoping actually to perhaps invite one of my instructors from the college to come sometime and be on the podcast so that we can have perhaps a more articulate description of what it is and a more full description of what NLP is. I'm hooked. I love it. I know that there are some negative things out there about NLP, and that was because it is quite a powerful technique and tool, and some people have used it unethically and have used it to persuade people to do things that weren't above board, and so there, as with anything, you can find negativity about it on the internet, but I certainly think it can be used in a very ethical, helpful way, and that if more people knew about it, well, maybe the world would be a better place and life would be a little bit easier. I don't know. But Neuro-Linguistic Programming, I think if you're interested in it, I can talk more about it at some point, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what it's all about. And that I have that in my toolkit, as they say, and we'll use it sometimes in coaching to help people. We do a lot of visualizing with it. We pay attention deeply to the person when having conversations with them, not just what they say, but how they say it, ways they say it, patterns in their speech. And it's about deep listening. Yeah, there's just so much about it, and I can't say too much about it, or I can't say enough about it, but I don't have time to say all that I would like to say about it. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say right now. Oh, I'm babbling, aren't I? Anyhow, I hope that you will come over to Communication Diva and check it out. I also wanted to let you know that in the next week or so, I'm not sure if it will be next episode or the episode after, I am going to be interviewing my friend and mentor, Cliff Ravenscraft. He is the podcast answer man, and he is the reason, well, he's the person that got me going on all of this. And who introduced me to Anna Sophia Reinhardt, who you heard in a couple of episodes ago, who does a podcast on eating disorders and anorexia. And I met her through Cliff, and I am going to be pleased to bring you Cliff Ravenscraft and talk to him about how he communicates with his audience. That is a vast audience. He has so many podcasts, so many different, he's got a whole network, and has many different shows on many different topics. And we'll find out about his communication principles, shall we say, and how he runs his business, because he makes a living doing podcasting, and it's much more than that. He connects with people and sees it almost as a ministry. So I'm looking forward to talking with Cliff on air and bringing him to you in the next, I think it'll be probably not next week, but the week after. But anyways, you'll see it on the website. So if you have some time, I would appreciate you coming over to iTunes to give a review. That would be great. If you'd like to join the email list, you can find that on the website as well. And if you have any ideas for topics or people that you might want to hear on Communication Diva, please drop me a line or write a comment in the comment section on the website as well. So thank you very much for listening. I hope everyone stays well. Until next time, this is Jenn Swanson with Communication Diva.